In the world we live in today, there's so many things to look forward to. The way we live today, we use so many things and do so many active things. We rely on technology to work for us. One of the main things we really focus on is trying to get more advanced in modern day technology. Every person in the present day and the people to come rely on their phones, cars, planes, and everything else that they uses some type of electricity. However, all that energy isn't always the best for the economy and really isn't the most efficient way to power our vehicles and stuff that we use to transport. Tesla, Prius, and Chevy have all been able to create ways for us to travel without using gas. Instead, they found out a way to create an electric car that runs on electricity opposed to gas. This makes the pollution for these cars better than gasoline and is way more efficient. With all of this being said, there are tons of other vehicles and machines that we transport in that could use this electric treatment for the better and make a better and safer world for everyone. The main idea that would be the best to help expand not only transportation but electric energy as well is rechargeable airplanes that run on batteries. People trying to create vehicles that run strictly on batteries isn't something new, just something we have yet to perfect. The first electric car that was made was in 1884, created by Robert Anderson. It wasn't until the late 1870s and even a little bit into the 1880s that electric cars had become more practical and well known to the public, and when people actually started. In the 1800s, the main way for people's transportation were usually horses, except later on, cars started to become more known and they became available in gasoline, steam, and electricity. Over the next few years, electric vehicles and different automakers began popping up across the US. New York City even had a fleet of more than 60 electric taxis. In the 1900s, cars that ran on batteries were accounting for about a third of all the vehicles on the road. During the next 10 years, they continued to show strong sales. When the electric vehicles came to the market, a new type of vehicle did as well, the gasoline-powered car. The improvements to the internal combustion engine in the 1800s. Gasoline cars had potential, but they weren't without their faults. They required a lot of manual effort to drive, which was challenging for some people. Changing gears wasn't something they could do easy, and in order for them to start them, they needed to be started with a hand crank. They were also noisy, and their exhaust wasn't the best. Eventually, the gasoline came over the electric power, and people drove cars off gas. Until recently, car companies started making models of cars that were normal and turning them into electric cars, and have started to produce them and sell to the public. When you buy something that is rechargeable like that, you have to sell a special type of battery. The battery you buy usually has a warranty and is more expensive because it's rechargeable. The most popular modern electric car is Tesla, and Elon Musk is the creator and founder of it, and he's a genius when it comes to making electric transportation. In the future, the planes will run on an all-electric motor, and the motor will be in planes and vehicles, and it strictly gets its energy for driving entirely from its battery, and it must be plugged in to be recharged. Getting a plane to be electric soon, though, is going to be a problem. There are only a few small experimental electric planes out there, but only a few of them and have been in them. The closest thing to a full-size aircraft getting an electric battery is NASA. NASA is building an electric-powered plane that is set for a test flight next year in a two-seat Airbus electric aircraft. Conventional normal plane works when the engine sucks air in through the front, then a compressor squeezes it, and fuel is sprayed in and lit, creating burning gases and forward thrust. This is the reason why electric planes tend to be slower than normal planes. The Airbus two-seat electric plane is one of the first solar-powered planes that completed an around-the-world journey. However, since it's electric, it's much slower and people might not want to travel on it compared to a plane that uses gas. The electric plane that traveled around the world reached a top of 136 miles per hour, while the average plane usually travels at a rate of 885 kilometers, which equals out to be 550 miles per hour. The electric plane would take a person much longer to get from point A to B compared to a normal plane. However, if they get the planes to work where they can run on a battery and become rechargeable, then the payoff would be much more efficient and smooth. According to a recently made report from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, aircrafts are responsible for about 8% of the greenhouse gas emitted by the U.S. NASA is also creating an X-57 aircraft, and it will be an experimental plane that will test how electric propulsion technology can improve performance. Electric power is the cleanest way for people to travel, and if we can get people to drive electric and for everything to be converted to electric motors, it would be a revolution, and our economy would get a lot better and the pollution would be much less. The only problem holding us back from creating rechargeable planes now is the fact that no electric plane would be able to carry the weight of the battery that it would need. An average plane weighs about 223,000 pounds and carries a battery that's much less than it. If you make a rechargeable plane that is the same weight as that, with the equivalent energy power, the battery would weigh about 4.5 million pounds, which is just ridiculous and is way more than the plane weighs itself. The Airbus that crossed the English Channel modified all its electric fans into a hybrid, which is going to improve range and learn more about that kind of energy. If planes become electric and use batteries, then people all across the world wouldn't be paying nearly as much for a plane ticket because the fuel costs for them would not cost nearly as much. The average fuel cost for a plane is over $150,000. For an electric plane, the gas cost would be about a quarter less to a third less than that. You'd be able to save a lot of money from that. Also, the planes that run on gas have a tailpipe exhaust, which causes a ton of pollution to spread. With the electric plane, since it has a battery and no fuel, it won't have a need for the tailpipe exhaust and will most definitely be way more pollution friendly. With the electric planes, if we find a way to get the battery to fit, the planes will also be able to travel a lot faster than the planes that have an engine. Also, the electric planes, the noise for it will be much quieter than the gas-powered ones. The ride would be smoother as well, and the electric will have more torque and actual twisting powers. This means when you step on the pedal in the electric plane, the power is delivered immediately to the engine. A battery-powered machine also has a much higher rate when it comes to safety. If we're able to create these rechargeable planes, then we will have been able to find a way to make our economy much better.